Well, it's been over a week since I posted another video on this schematic wiring deal. It'll probably be about a week and a half before this actually gets uploaded. But I wanted to give myself a break and give everyone else a break. You know, I was peppering them out there pretty quick, one right after another. And now we both had a chance to rest a little bit, and I can work on a mishmash video or two, which I enjoy. You know, some of our subscribers would much rather see a mishmash video than a radio video. I understand that, you know. Anyway, we left off last time. I told you that this resistor needed to be replaced, and it needed to be soldered down in here on the right hand side of that 450 ohm resistor. Okay, let's take a look at it. Comes off pin 3 on the this AVC tube. Goes through the 40,000 ohm resistor and then to the right hand side of our 450 ohm resistor right there. Alright, I have done so. I have removed the resistor that was underneath that black covering. The purpose of that black covering was to keep that wire on that resistor coming out on this side away from this pin on this tube. If it would have touched it, it would not have been cool. It wasn't anywhere near anything else, but they wanted that thing away from that pin right there, and that's what I've done. I just put a piece of heat shrink over there, good quality industrial, and I shrunk her down so she's good to go. Same thing that they had before. I decided to go with that setup. Then from there I ran a nice fresh solid wire, 22 gauge, over here. I ran it down through the center of these lugs all the way down, and I wrapped it and connected it to the right hand side of this 470 ohm resistor, which is 20 ohms higher than what is in the schematic, but that's all I have, and that's all I can really get. Now, I haven't soldered anything. It's all just laying in there loose, but it's hooked in there to stay. So that portion is done. So what do we have to do? I'll tell you what we have to do. Yes, first we need to back up. And then we have to take our little orange pen and we have to color in this line right here. Yes, we do. All the way through to there. The thing will probably turn yellow in a couple days. Okay, one more line done. One more. Okay, let's go up to the top here and see if we can't decipher some of this garbage up here. This looks, when somebody sees something like this and they're fairly new to this and they look at this, they go, oh my God, how is all this crap is hooked? How? Well, we're going to take a closer look at it and tell you. When I get done, you'll see there's really nothing to it, okay? Tell you what we're going to do. We're going to start with pin 3 on the second detector, okay? The 24 tube. And we're going to come down, 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 down. And we go through a 10,000 ohm resistor. And then we go down, 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 down. And then we take a turn and we go into the left side of the 450 ohm resistor. The left side. Just to prove it to you. There's the left side right there. We already hooked up the right side. This is the other side. We're going to come all the way up to pin 3. Let's find that booger. We're looking for a 10,000 ohm resistor on pin 3. This is the 24 second detector tube right here. Right there, I got it written down. Second detector, see it? We've got pin 1, pin 2, pin 3. 1, 2, 3. And what do we have coming off of pin 3? A resistor. A resistor. Now this resistor has a piece that had been soldered onto it quite a while ago. I don't know if that was done at the factory. It looks factory. And what they did was they just put it on down here to the old can dome resistor where it needed to go, and they soldered it in place. And there was an insulator on there, and I took it off. A black insulator similar to the one we took off over here. It was just for, to make sure nothing touched it. It wasn't supposed to touch it. So this here is our 10,000 ohm resistor, and it went down and it connected to this side, the left side of our 450 ohm resistor. Even now, see, this is the interesting thing about this I want to point out to our newbie friends. Very important. We came off of pin 3 and it looked like there was a whole lot of wire. A whole lot of wire before we got to the resistor. Then it looked like there was a whole lot of wire when we got done, all the way down, all the way down, all the way down, until we put it into the can dome resistor where it was originally. Well, keep in mind, just because it shows a lot of wire on the schematic does not mean there's a lot of actual wire, in the chassis to do the hookups, okay? A lot of wire here, no. A lot of wire here, no. Just the length of the resistor leads and a little extension they put on it so it could reach down to where it's soldered into the original can dome resistor that was here. So my next step is to go ahead and change out this resistor, and I'll probably put another extension on it just like here, and then we'll go ahead and solder it right there. Not solder it, I'll just bend it around, loop it in. I'm still waiting for the 1500 k ohm resistors, the 5 watters, to come in that I ordered. It's going to be a few more days yet, so that's why we still have these empty spots. One more thing I wanted to bring up before we move on to our next wire. I probably could have gotten away with 3 ohm resistors on this. I didn't have to put 5, but I'm a big overkill kind of guy, so 5 doesn't bother. I don't see a whole lot of difference between 3 and 5 myself, but I could have gotten away with 3 ohm resistors. And the only problem with that would have been the kind of person that I am. If I'd have put them in, got everything working, got the radio functioning, got everything back in the cabinet, and got the cabinet refinished and got it in the house, and I was playing it, every so often those 3 ohm resistors would pop back into my mind. And I'd say, gee, I wonder how they're holding up. I wonder how they're holding up. Are they getting brown? Are they burning? And eventually I would wind up taking the chassis out. It would worry me to death. I would eventually have to pull the chassis just to check those resistors to make sure they were holding up. Well, with 5 watt resistors, I don't have to do that. I can sleep at night. My mind is at ease, okay? That's why I do a lot of overkill sometimes. I'll mention the fact that I like overkill. There's a reason for it. I don't want to have to worry about whether or not, something is smoking when you play the radio or catches fire or I don't know what, It's just a precautionary thing I like to do. It doesn't hurt to go with 5 watters here, okay? Well, as you can see, our replacement 10,000 ohm resistor is going to be a little bit short. It'll hook up here, but I need to kind of get it up out of the way like this one is here so it doesn't touch anything. So you can see we're really short. We got a long ways to go before we can even get down to the terminal. So what I'm going to do, I've decided to go ahead and use the same little extension wire that they put on it right here. And I'm going to go ahead and straighten this baby out with my duckbill pliers best I can. I'll probably have to do most of it once I get it out of the chassis. We're going to kind of straighten it out a little bit, and then I'm going to take this old pair of cutters and I'm going to cut it right there. Okay, that'll give us our wire that we need for the extension without having to dig around in my stash. It's just a little old wire, no big deal. And we'll go ahead and cut this resistor out of here right there. And that was an easy job as far as removal goes. Now what I've done is gone ahead and put a small coil of wire at the end of each of the leads. And then before I did that though, I put some real small, this is not heat shrink, this is just wire insulation that I have. Is very, very, very small for, leads. It was sent to me along with an order of stuff I got from justradios.com. They sent me a little envelope full of that stuff, which I thought was very nice. I usually throw that stuff away, but this time I kept it because I kind of liked it. Pretty sturdy little stuff. Now what we're going to do is take the lead that I have straightened out, and I'm going to put this. I've cleaned that lead, by the way, with alcohol. My little brush had a bunch of crud on it. I gently scraped it with my knife a little bit and got it loose. And once we get this inside of here like so, we'll solder it. And then I'm going to take heat shrink and cover it up. I'll cut it to the right length. We'll dry fit it in the radio and then cut it to the right length. Then take some other heat shrink and run all the way up right on top of this and shrink the whole thing down. We'll show you that when we're done. Well, there she is. She's already soldered here, and of course I have that insulator on it. And then the insulator on the second one is underneath the big one right here, as you can see. I don't know if you can see me zoom in here a little bit. That gives me kind of a double insulation right here, okay? Now what I'll do is I'll take my pencil and I will shove this up like that to just about the body of the resistor. And then I'll hit, and while it's up there like that, I'll hit it with my heat shrink gun, or heat gun. And that should shrink her right in place and she shouldn't move on down. And again, I have not yet soldered it here, okay? So let's put the heat to her and get her shrunk up here. Well, here she is, all shrunk up, and you know, you don't have to shrink it until it shrivels up to nothing. Just where I soldered the two pieces together, it made a bump. Shrink it down to where it's around that bump, and that heat shrink won't go anywhere. I'm beginning to run out of black heat shrink, by the way. I may have to go with green. That's all I have. Actually, I've got plenty of heat shrink, but none of it this particular size. But I do have a whole pile of green. Wouldn't that be something to have a whole chassis full of green heat shrink? It works good. It's great stuff. It's just a weird color, but we'll see. Anyway, right now, it's beginning to get a little late at night. I think I better go ahead and knock off now and start again tomorrow or maybe the next day. Alright, it's been a couple of days since I filmed the last segment. I spent the weekend finishing up Mishmash video number 150, where I cooked that Kangun ghee. And I also took my daughter out to see a movie, Revenant, and I took her to dinner. I had a really good weekend. By the way, if you haven't seen Revenant, I tell you what, boy, that's a man's movie there. That's a man's movie. I enjoyed that movie a lot. And now I see why Leonardo DiCaprio got that Oscar for Best Actor. My God, he was good in that thing. I mean, it's just amazing. I highly recommend Revenant, okay? All right, last time we put in this line right here off of pin 3 of the second detector, the 24 tube. We ran it down, we installed the resistor, and then we took it on down, and we put it across and connected it to the left side of that 450 ohm resistor. Remember that? Alright, there it is, all connected up. I showed it to you in the last video, I think, before I shut her down. So what we need to do now is color in that line with orange. Yes, one less line we got to worry about. So let's go ahead and take pin 3 down through the resistor. Oh, this is good. I like doing this stuff. We don't have to mess with this line anymore. See how easy this stuff is? This stuff is so simple. God, a baby can do this stuff. All right. What are we going to do next? I'll tell you what. We're going to stay up here in this mess up here and try to figure out what's going on. Okay? Well, let's get started here. Let's start with pin 2 of the second detector tube and go over and see if we can find a capacitor, a coupling capacitor that connected the plate of the pin 2, the plate of the 24 second detector tube. See if it'll connect to the grid of the audio output tube, the 47. There should be a capacitor between those two lines. Let's see if we can find it. Alright, here is the plate. This is pin 1, pin 2 of the second detector. I got it written right there. This is pin 2, pin 1, pin 2, and you'll notice there is no capacitor there. However, there's a hole there. Now let's go to the audio output tube and try to find pin 3. 1, 2, 3. And again, there is no capacitor there, just a flippy floppy resistor, but we have a hole. We have a hole. So that capacitor has been removed. Yes, it has. And you know who did it? I did it. Remember when I said I was sick and tired of looking at all those electrolytics a few videos ago? I removed all those electrolytics. I went ahead and cut out that 0.01 microfarad capacitor. So we need to get a capacitor between here and here, so we can go ahead and color another line orange. Let's get that done. Well, the capacitor is in. I haven't soldered it yet. I did put insulation on each lead. It's not soldered in. We'll get that. We'll get to that in a second here, because first I want to deal with this resistor. But before we do that, let's go ahead and color our line. Let's show one more line complete. Oh, this is so much fun. This is the best part here. Here we go. through the capacitor all the way over to pin 2. Yes, we have it done. One more line done. Okay, now comes this question right here. What the heck is this? Let me get my pencil. Can't do anything without my pencil. Okay, what the heck is this thing right here? You know, this resistor. It's coming off of pin 3 of the audio output tube. Pin 1, pin 2, pin 3. Let's look at pin 3 and see what that is. Pin 3 of the audio output tube. There's the number 3 right there. I kind of covered it up with the orange. Let me get a little closer here. Coming off of pin 3 of the audio output tube, we have a 500,000 ohm resistor right there, R6. Guess what that is? That was once, at one time, a 500,000 ohm resistor. Not much of one now. So what we're going to do is replace that with this one right here. It's a 510. It's the only thing I have. I don't have an exact 500, but I'll tell you what, 510 is fine. It'll work great. I put insulation on one end. I'm just going to go ahead and hook it through there and let it. I'm going to solder it. I'm going to remove this one. I'm going to solder this one in place along with that capacitor right there. So let's get that done. Alright, both have been soldered in. The resistor, I'm just going to let it dangle there for a while until I figure out where the other end goes. One end of the capacitor. Now let's go over here to this other end here. Let me turn on the light so you can see a little bit better what I'm up against now. Now the other side of that capacitor is connected to pin 2 on the second detector tube. Second detector right there. That's pin 2. The other side of this capacitor is fastened to it. So let's take a look on our schematics so we all, no biggie. We come across, it's connected to pin 2 on the second detector, the other side. Now, there is a 150,000 ohm resistor that comes off just before that capacitor. So let's find that. We go from just before the capacitor, and here we go. There's our resistor right there. That's supposed to be 150,000 ohms. Unfortunately, it appears I have screwed up. But there's nothing I can do about that, and I'll tell you why. I keep hitting this camera with my hand. Sorry about that. Unfortunately, there's no breakdown of the parts. In other words, there's no parts listing in the paperwork for this radio that tells you what the various. The schematic tells you what the resistance is and the number of the resistor, but it doesn't tell you any wattages. There's no wattages. And this one right here, that's a 1 watt for almost certain. And this would be a half watt. Okay, see the difference in size right there? Well, I have a 150K resistor right here. Unfortunately, it's not a 1 watt. So I'm going to have to go through my stash later and see if I can come up with a 1 watt. 150K. Shouldn't be any real big problem. Anything close will work. Meanwhile, let me show you what our next little issue is. Check out the way they got this thing wired. They've got this 150K. I need a little clarity here. They've got that 150K resistor running through the loop, or through the terminal, on this Aerovox 0.0005 mica cap. Okay? They ran it through the connector and then ran it over to pin 2 on the second detector tube. Then it looks like they took another wire, which is this one right here, and ran it through there and soldered it down here also. That's why we have this big glob of solder and crap back in here. Well, this lead goes all the way through and connects to there, and then this piece of wire goes all the way through and connects into there. It made for one big giant mess. Look at the glob of crap behind that thing. This thing is a total mess. I think what I'm going to do, let me back up here a little bit. I think what I'm going to do is go ahead and remove this mica cap, clean this whole mess up here, and get it ready to put a new resistor in. And we only need 1 wire connecting it from here to here. I think they were afraid that if this resistor was ever removed, I don't know, they just had to have double coverage on this pin. I don't know why. I'm not exactly certain why they did it that way. But anyway, We're going to get this. We're going to take those screws out. We're going to remove this thing. We're going to suck off all the solder on the back of this. We're going to clean this whole thing up, and I'm going to see if I can find a 150K 1-watt resistor minimum. Yeah, I might be able to find a 2-watt. I don't know. That's what we'll be doing next time. Let me see if we can color in any orange here. Yes, we can. We'll go ahead and wrap this video up now. And there's our 500K we just put in. What we're going to do is come down to the bottom of the resistor. That's all. Because that's all we've got done. Okay? Next time we'll see if we can't finish all of this up. Hopefully. By the way, this coil. This is the Aerovox capacitor. I colored it green and I shouldn't have, because that is not inside that metal box here. Only the coil is. So this coil is inside that box. This is the Aerovox outside the box. This is in the box. This is in the box. So we're starting to get some hairy stuff going here. It's going to be fun. But right now we need to clean up this mess right here with this this connection right here. This is a pitiful deal. Let's see what we can do with that. Until next time, this is John. Well, shucks, once again, I almost forgot. Well, I did forget. All right, here's the latest update on the little item that I'm building. And it is all complete now. I have a wall wart connector that goes here, 9 volts in. Just stuck it out of there. I picked up a wall wart phone, old time phone or something at the flea market, and tore it apart and used the parts out of it. This is a 3.5 millimeter audio in jack, headphone jack, but I'm using it as an input. And this is an antenna I had laying around the house. It can go, way up. And I stained the box and put a finish on it. I just made it a satin finish, nothing real shiny. And we have everything done on the inside of the box. I'll probably stain this on the inside a little bit. Maybe not. I don't know. It depends on my mood. Everything's good to go. And what we have here is an and this is my antenna wire right here that goes out and connects to the bottom of our antenna. What we have here is an FM transmitter. And guess what? It doesn't work. It does not work.